Hello and welcome to HyzerMedia's coverage of the Cosmic Tranquilcyon. Today we'll be taking a look at the final round from Alcyon Woods. This tournament is run by and our coverage is sponsored by Cosmic Disc Golf. It's also brought to you in part by our Patreon family. If you'd like to support us, you can do so for as little as $2. I'm Dave from HyzerMedia, here to bring you this final round exciting action here from Alcyon Woods, and we're going to get started on hole 1. It's a par 3, 299 feet. If you got a forehand that goes 300 feet, you are in luck with this hole. Backhand turnover a little bit more difficult, but certainly playable. Also a couple inside lines that we might see.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Voorhees, New Jersey, Evan Boyle!
And thank you to David Gralnick, obviously for running this tournament, but also for doing the player intros for both rounds. Evan Boyle getting us started off with the forehand. Oh, just catching that inside tree.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Norristown, Pennsylvania, Christopher Villa!
So Chris Villa, second on the card, now has been on, I believe, 5 or 6 rounds in a row on HyzerMedia's coverage. We are not stalking him, I swear. He just happens to be at all the tournaments we had on our schedule.
Gentleman from Elmer, New Jersey, Jason Tiligadas.
Another regular to our coverage, Jason Tiligadas, backhand specialist, taking the inside line. Maybe a little easier for the turnover.
I'll play. From Vineland, New Jersey, Alex Nicosia.
Rounding out our card, another familiar face we often see with Jason Tiligadas from similar areas, often play similar tournaments. Throwing a flex forehand, looks a little bit wide.
Oh, great shot.
No, came back.
All right, gentlemen, good luck out
Great
there.
shot, probably in the best position out of the 4 players. So we'll see Chris almost up to that corner. Looks like he's going to try to cut it off to try to get up to the green. And he does a pretty good job at it. That'll be a 18-20 footer left to save his par. Evan Boyle, don't want to overlook his hot round 12 down at the first round of this tournament at Tranquility Trails. And looks like he's still going to have some work to do here on the first hole to save his par. Jay with a little bit of meat left on that bone. Oh, a little left for Evan, so that 3-stroke lead is going to shrink right off the bat. And especially with Alex hitting the birdie, great shot, great putt, bringing him into second place with Chris. Only 3 strokes back already. And Evan still having to tap in his bogey shot. Will be only 2 strokes ahead. Chris does have to make this putt first to save his par. And he does just that. So Alcyon Woods certainly playing a much more difficult round than Tranquility Trails. So the 12 down that we saw from Evan would probably be a very unlikely scenario. A lot of more trees, tight lines on this course that these players are going to be maneuvering through. As we see right off the bat, hole 2, it's a par 4, 620 feet through the woods. Gotta get around the corner on your first shot. More distance, the better. But really just want to stay in the fairway because you have a long, straight line to get up to the basket on your second shot. Probably still close to 400 feet from the corner. Alex will be first to tee on this hole. Cuts the corner a little bit, so he's going to be inside. Gets a nice little kick back towards the fairway. He should have something to work with there. Chris going a bit wider, and that should work. Right in the middle of the fairway, probably go up that right side. Jay, very similar line, little more glidey. Actually, I think he kicks a tree, but gets maybe 30 or 40 more feet down the fairway, which will certainly help for his second shot. And Evan just a little too straight, trying to get a lot of distance on it. Maybe not enough hyzer, not as much as he wanted. Gets a hard kick over to the left, so he's going to probably just be pitching out, trying to get back to the fairway. And goes from one side to the other, so still having to work to get back, but make some progress. And Alex pretty good, because he's just the edge of the basket there. He's on the green, not quite in the circle. Chris going standstill, little turnover. Oh, and hits the one stump. I believe we saw that happen to Chris on another round, if you've been following HyzerMedia. Almost the same exact kind of shot. So unfortunate for him. And now we're up to Jay's shot, probably the best of the bunch. And catching a tree, but kicking him back towards the basket. Probably a helpful tree. Evan pretty cut off. Having to throw a backhand turnover. And yeah, that's edge of circle. Maybe just a couple feet out, you see the feather marking 33 feet right there. Alex is still pretty far out, but this is for his birdie. A bit too wide, maybe just trying to lay up. Chris just a bit low. Couple of birdie attempts. This is to save par for Evan. Oh, also just a bit low. And Jay last on the card with a chance for birdie. Oh, and off the cage. Tickles a couple of the chains, not able to stay in. And good par save. Comebacker for Alex. Chris just a couple steps closer. Makes easy work of it, and this card will be accumulating a 1 over for the 4 of them. And that plays about what the average was. Hole 2 playing as the third hardest hole at a third of a stroke over par. So about right for most groups that played, as we go from one of the hardest holes to one of the easiest. Hole 3 is a par 3, 285 feet. If you're a righty and you have a backhand, this is a pretty stock shot for you. One tree at the corner, if you take it too wide, can prevent you from getting there. But other than that, it's a fairly simple shot. And little long and inside for Alex. He's maybe within the circle, but he's going to have some work getting back to the basket. Probably a little obstructed. Chris a bit inside, catches one little limb. Might have still snuck around the corner, but that redirected his disc, so he's still probably only 100 feet out, but we'll see exactly what he has left. And good shot for Jay. That should be a fairly easy putt for him. And Evan, almost the same exact line as Chris, but just missed that little one. And he'll have a very similar putt to Jay. And Chris doesn't like it, but it hits cage. I don't know if he was just that sure or thought it was in, but oh, off left side chains for Alex. These guys are all over the basket. Good putt by Jay. Taking advantage of being closer than the other two. Hopefully Evan can do the same. And he does. Getting back one of those strokes that he lost in the last 2 holes. So Alex and Chris will come in to tap in their pars. And we'll move over to hole 4. Par 4, 578 feet. Pretty much dead straight for as long as you can get your disc to do that. Slight fade at the end. Getting over this log would be ideal for a landing zone. From there, either a backhand turnover or a forehand for the next 200 or so feet, landing on this slightly sloped green to the right side. And then snuck through the first couple, but then eventually catches a tree, and it is obviously that's what's going to happen. It's a bit of a early release. Now we have a bit of a late release by Alex, but getting a little luckier. And he's maybe just short of that log that we're looking to get over. Chris trying to go somewhere in between the first 2 throws. Oh, and he goes maybe too stable or too much hyzer. So right in the middle. Evan now trying to get back to the fairway. And this looks a little straight. He might be right from over there. He made some progress, but still quite a bit of distance to go from there. Chris also catching a tree right side. So the 2 of them are going to still be not quite in position, still struggling to try to get their pars. Alex with a great forehand is rolling right to the basket, but this needs to sit down. It's going away from the basket now. Oh, and it almost kept rolling. That's probably close enough, but obviously would have liked it to sat right under the basket where it was for a moment. And Jay in the best position off the tee, but not able to get clear of that second tree. And pretty great turnover by Chris. Fades out just a little bit at the end, but he was not in a great position and is now up on the green. Unfortunately, that will be for his par, and he'll still have to save, and Evan as well. Good up for Jay. Should be an easy par tap in. Chris not able to save that par. Evan, very good par save. Early release off the tee, able to still get up there. And Alex with the chance for a birdie. Very nice. Not an easy birdie. This was the second hardest hole on the course, playing a half a stroke over par. So a birdie on this hole will certainly be getting you strokes on the field. So after 4 holes, we have everybody 1 stroke apart as we go over to hole 5. Another par 4, 428 feet. You're throwing around this corner on your first throw, trying to land just about over the crest of this hill and giving you a short approach for your second shot. A really well thrown shot could almost give you an eagle bid here. Par 4 at only 428 feet. So depending on what these guys want to do, they could play aggressive. Still early in the round, but it is the last round. They have to catch Evan. And on cue, Alex throws past catch cam operator. You see the group ahead of them are still on the green. Jay needs to miss that tree just by a couple inches, wasn't able to get around it. The flex backhand with the staple disc is a good play here because you get that kind of left to right momentum and then back hard to the left, which is what you need to start moving towards the basket after about 200, 250 feet. And Chris just about did that, got to the top of the hill. If you're playing for par, top of the hill is just fine. Jay, you see, is cutting the corner because he was off by just a bit from his tee shot and left a little bit short. Evan is up at the top of the hill and still needs to kind of find something. Hits the tree, kicks pretty hard back to the left. Where Chris is much more ideal. You can see how open it is right there, just straight towards the basket. But he does turn it over a bit. He's going to still have an obstructed 20-25 footer. And this just looks like absolute jail, but Evan able to get out. And he will be able to save the par. Oh, and Alex giving it an eagle bid. He was much further up. Everybody was throwing their second or third throws before we even got to see his. Jay hitting metal at the base. That'll be an easy tap in. And Chris just a little bit obstructed once he straddles out and able to collect the birdie. And like that, Alex, coming from 4th place, is now tied with Evan for 1st place. Chris and Jay only 2 strokes behind them for the moment. So getting tight as we move over to hole 6, par 3, 244 feet. Forehand or backhand turnover are pretty commonplace here. Need to miss these couple trees to get real close to this very elevated basket. Top of the basket's probably 8 or 9 feet. So really a placement shot to get through these trees. And Alex does just that. And with his height, he may still be putting his normal style to get into this basket, whereas most people would be putting extremely far up. Chris turns his over just a bit too much, but this is only 244-foot hole, so he should be able to manufacture something to get up there. Jay got most of the way up, but like I said, you have to get past that last grouping of trees to really give yourself an easier putt. Something like Evan just did, although he's just behind that one tree. Little straddle should be no problem. But of course, the elevated basket will always make every putt a little difficult. And Jay, oh, off the right side. A lot of Hyzer, right side, usually stays in. It might have just been the angle of the disc with the elevation required to get that high. But that still easily could have stayed in for Jay, so very unlucky at that point. Chris putting through a very narrow gap between the 2 trees, can't even walk through it, but able to save his par from there. As Evan and Alex open up that lead to 3 strokes. Jay a little frustrated at the basket, as rightfully so. And we'll move over to hole 7, par 3, 267 feet. Tight turn, a little bit downhill, and the basket is another 150 feet straight after the turn, so you want to really push the outside of the turn to try to give your disc time to straighten out and push straight down the fairway. Pretty difficult hole, especially for being only 267 feet. Alex pushed the outside a bit too much, caught up, but probably within a couple feet of circle 2. Evan, another early release, catching a first tree off the tee. Chris almost catching the right side first tree off the tee. And a bit too much Hyzer. He's going to be on the inside, but he's down around the corner. And Jay, oh, that was looking good. I think he caught that one skinny tree. Loose sandy ground with some dry leaves on there can certainly be utilized to use ground play to get up there. And it looked like that's what Jay was doing, but unfortunately just the one that got caught. And good up. That'll be par for Jay. Chris, patent pending. A little backhand turnover. Seems like he's already done about a dozen of those this round. But they work. He's right under the pin. Alex the closest off the tee, but still not really giving it a bid. And now this is Evan for his par save. Oh, off the band, full commitment inside that holly tree. Spiky leaves that was certainly commitment we saw from him, pushing through literally the pain, but unfortunately just a couple inches high. So Chris with the behind the back tap in, very fancy, but only for a par. As we move over to hole 8, par 4, 472 feet. You want to get at least past that little fallen tree, if not as far up the hill as you can, setting up your second shot for an easier approach through this tight line of trees. Alex will be attempting to do that first. Yours, it needs to start hyzering. Missed the tree. Oh, narrowly missed tree. And way past catch cam operator Wendy. That is maybe going to give him an eagle look, depending on exactly how far he got up there. I think he's at or past that big fallen tree on top of the hill to the left side, which is probably less than 100 feet from the basket. So a lot of these par 4s Alex seems to be really going for, although he has the lead at the moment. The last time it was a couple strokes back, played aggressive, it paid off, but this time maybe that's just his play. It worked out. Oh, and Evan about 3 or 4 skips before it gets to that small tree and then skips over it. So certainly using the ground play, and that's probably just fine if you're looking for the birdie. Get around the corner from there. Chris a bit farther back, so he got around the corner. Probably still a long bid to the basket from where he's at. Oh, Evan almost able to get around the corner with the forehand turnover. Quick plug for our Patreon community. If you're interested, we do post highlights of every tournament, monthly disc giveaways, and exclusive content and HyzerMedia merch. So if you'd like to check that out, you can do so over at patreon.com/HyzerMedia. You can also simply support us for just $2. Get your name on the graphic at the beginning of every tournament that we cover.
Oh, man.
As we see Evan almost ringing it up from there to still get the birdie, but fortunately he is right by the basket for par now. And Chris, oh, that was a dirty roll. Barely touched that tree, but just got it up on an edge. So he'll have a longer than he would want putt for a not deserved roll away. As Alex hits the bottom of the pole, and that was again another eagle bit on these shorter par 4s. Kind of a theme of this course is the shorter par 4s, where if you hit the line, they're of course reachable. But that's the key, is you're in the woods, tight lines. One, throwing the power is a risk. Hitting a tree, you can kick very far, left or right. Plus, throwing power, you're less accurate, so you're less likely to hit the line. Somehow, Alex seems to have no issue with it, though. 2 holes so far, getting way up there on these shorter par 4s, and both times giving himself very easy birdies. So he extends his lead. And speaking of tight lines, hole 9, maybe the tightest gap off the tee, maybe in New Jersey. If you know of a tighter gap off the tee, somewhere in the state or anywhere near, why don't you comment down below what course and what hole that is. Once you do get through the gap, it is only 216 feet. So, throwing something nice and easy, putter, maybe mid-range. Oh, and that's another unfortunate roll for Alex this time. Probably was going to be 20-25 feet. Now he's more like 30. Jay with a good shot, having the disc land just a couple feet from the pin, carrying a little bit away with the hyzer angle. Evan going with the forehand turnover. Catches a tree a little early. That's probably 45-50 footer left. But like I said, if you get through these first 2 trees, it's such a short hole, you're going to have a long look at it almost no matter what. Chris winds up just next to Jay. Running it in, and he knew it right out of his hand. Great putt for Evan, getting him back to the 12 down that he started with. So, took a little bit of time to get there, but he is on a roll now. Alex just a bit outside. There we go. Good putt for Chris. Also bringing him back to the 9 down that he started with. And 3rd birdie on this hole. Good putt for Jay. As Alex comes to tap in on this last hole of front 9. So 2 of these players working just to stay even. Alex and Jay really put it to them. They're catching them. They're past them. Now they're controlling this round. They need to be caught by anybody else if they are trying to win this tournament. And we will find out if that happens at the conclusion of this tournament on the back 9. I'll be over there. I hope you are too. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our channel, and we will see you in the next hole.